guys, how's it going? Okay, so something that I wanted to cover that I get just a lot of questions about, a lot of concerns, and it's a pretty common conversation that takes place in my practice and when I'm coaching people. And that is when your results, such as weight loss, doesn't reflect the effort that you think you've put in for the week. And so there are some things that we need to cover because I want everybody on the same page. But when someone comes to me and says, okay, look, I've been spot on this week and the scale did not reflect my efforts. There's a checklist that I go through and I have a real conversation with this person, client, whoever it is that has come to me with this. And we just have this real conversation. And I go through these specific points with them and say, let's have a reality check here. Let's really think about what the week was like in reference to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Usually, they can kind of pinpoint it back to something that just wasn't as spot on as they thought it might have been, or maybe they had a preconceived notion of something that was okay, but in reality it wasn't. So here are the 5 things that I always hit on when someone comes to me with this issue. And I've written them down because I don't want to forget anything. There's a lot of information. So eating out, stress and sleep, medications, just overall clean eating and exercise and movement. And then number 5, alcohol. So this is going to be a 5-part series, and I'm going to hit on every single point that I just went over. The first one that I'm going to hit on, though, is eating out. So this is a tough one because in today's society, eating out has become, a social thing, and it's become fun and people enjoy it, and that's when you hang out with your friends, go out with family, you take a night off from cooking. Life has gotten so busy that it's pretty common that the average family with kids is hitting a drive-through sometimes 3 times a week. That's on average. That's a lot. Now studies could have came out since the last one that I read, but per person, okay, the average one person, not family, not couple, but one, spends $232 a month eating outside the home. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And that didn't include lattes, drinks, junk food at the store, whatever the case is. That was just eating meals outside the home. That's a really big number. So, here's the deal. Depending on your goal, I am not an advocate of eating out. I'm not. But I'm real. And I understand that each person is going to look at me and go, no, I can't not eat out. It's just who I am. It's what I do. And I get it. And that's life. And so what I typically like to encourage is if you can, based on your goals, and you come up with whatever's real for you, 30 to 90 days, no eating out. 30 to 90 days. Because I want people to see the real progress that's out there and that's available to them. So here's the problem with eating out, you guys. You never really know what is in the food, okay? You could try and be as clean as possible with your choices on the menu, or you look at something and you think, oh, that's a clean choice, But the reality is you don't know what sauces are added to it. You don't know what oils they're using to cook it in. You don't know the hidden content because you don't have a label and you can't read it. 9 times out of 10, you're not really getting what you think you're getting. And so there's a lot of added things that go into meals when you eat in restaurants that really aren't factored into your daily routine. And so, salad dressings are a really big obstacle for people, I guess, for lack of a better word, because they think they're making a clean choice, and that lemon poppy seed dressing sounds really healthy, doesn't it? or lemon tahini, or the raspberry vinaigrette. Those all sound like super healthy choices as opposed to the Thousand Island or the ranch or whatever the case is. But the reality is usually they're not, because they're filled with sugars, a lot of sugars. And so we have to be aware that we just don't know. We don't have a label in front of us, and we can't read what's in that ingredient. And let me tell you something, I have asked to see the label before, and it doesn't go over well. They brought it to me, but it didn't go over well. They were irritated, and that was okay. It was okay. It was a gluten thing, and we needed to know, and it was fine. You be mad about that. But as the consumer, we have a right to ask questions, right? But we don't always have access to the labels. And so for me, in my practice, when I'm coaching people and just in general, eating out is kind of a no-no. So here's what I do. Come up with a reasonable amount of times that you think you can compromise on going out to eat. Is it once a week? Is it once a month? Is it twice a month? Is it every other Friday? What is it? And most of the time, it's a really difficult one to avoid. And I get it, because it's a very social thing. We love going out to eat. It's social and it's fun. But at the end of the day, I always leave the restaurant feeling sick, eating something that I should not have eaten, thinking I was making a really good choice when in reality I wasn't. But we know our bodies best, and so we tend to feel it when we're done. So a few things that can help you when you are going out to eat, because I'm not asking you to give it up. I'm just saying that when that week comes and you go to weigh in or check in, your results are not what you think they should have been. Is it because you ate out 3 times last week? Is it because you ate out 4 times last week? Is it, you have to be mindful about that stuff. You have to take responsibility for choosing to do it maybe more than one time. So here are some helpful hints that I put into play when I know that I'm going out to eat. Number 1, I always get online and look at the menu, and I try and make a decision before I even get to the restaurant on what I'm going to have, because then I don't have to open the menu and be tempted. If I have a question about something, I'll call ahead. I'll call the restaurant ahead and I'll ask to talk to the manager or the cook, or can I get an answer on this? And so those kinds of things kind of set me up for success when I get to the restaurant. And then I don't even open the menu. I just know what I'm going to get. The other thing I do is I'll eat an Isoline bar on the way to the restaurant, or I'll drink an Isoline shake on the way to the restaurant. 2 reasons: because it's really good, super dense nutrition that I know I'm feeding my body, but I'm also filling my stomach up so that when I get to the restaurant, I'm not as tempted to overindulge because I'm starving. That's typically when people make those overindulgences, because they're famished and they didn't plan. So that is something. I always have Isoline bars in my purse, or some Isodelites, maybe a bag of Whey-Thins. There's always something in my purse so that I never hit that I'm going to eat my arm off, feeling that I get. So I always steer clear of desserts, always. That's just, yeah. And share whenever possible. If I eat that bar or drink that shake on the way to the restaurant, I'm typically not so hungry. So I'll maybe say to my husband, do you want to share this? Or can I just have a little bit of your whatever, and then just order a side salad to go with it? Those are always really good options as well. Here's the other thing, and I've done this before. So you get invited to go out, and you just know, I had a bad week last week, or, I just ate out last night. I really don't want to do it 2 nights in a row. Have a meal before you go to the restaurant. And then when you get there, maybe just get a really small salad. Bring your own dressing. I always bring my own dressing. And I have even brought my own, tortillas before to a Mexican restaurant, because I know that corn tortillas hold no nutritional value whatsoever. It's just gut fill. So I brought my own. They were a coconut flour, almond flour blend tortilla. I am not beneath that. I will bring my own. If they bring bread to the table, just politely ask them, no thank you. The problem you're going to run into is if you're with a bunch of people that aren't like-minded with you. But if that's the case, maybe just position yourself at the end of the table, away from the chips and salsa, away from the bread, whatever it is that they're bringing. But there's definitely ways to get around it. So I have decided to challenge myself. It's summer. We've been on the go crazy busy. I've really slacked on diet. We've really slacked on eating out. So I decided yesterday I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to see how long I can go without eating out. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to go to a restaurant if I'm invited. It just means that I won't be dining there. And that's okay. And if you're going for the social aspect of it, then you don't need to eat because you've eaten before you went. I did this on my son's birthday because I was cleansing. Didn't plan that very well. But we went to a breakfast place and I did not eat. I ordered a coffee and I just sat there and watched them eat and just had a great conversation, and it was a good time. I guess if you tell yourself it's the social aspect that you're doing, then you really don't need to eat, right? You don't need to consume food. But anyways, that is like the number one cause of not hitting goals when you are on this program or any kind of health and wellness program. It's one of the main causes for setbacks every week. It's eating out. I don't suggest it. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that it is life though. And so if you can limit your exposure to eating out on a weekly basis, that's best. But if not, then you need to be super mindful and very well equipped and prepared, whether that means bringing your own salad dressing, bringing your own tortillas to a Mexican restaurant, calling ahead and finding out what they cook this particular dish in, what kind of fats are you using. You just have to be super, super prepared. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying you need to be mindful that this could potentially be one of the things that is hindering your progress, and just take the steps that you can to make good choices. And at the end of the week or the beginning of the next, when you go to check in or you weigh in or whatever you're doing, and the number might not reflect what you think it should, think back and ask yourself, how many times did I eat out of the home this week? Okay? So anyways, this is episode 1. So here's the deal. The next episode is going to be stress and lack of sleep, because this is a huge, huge factor in healthy weight loss and other areas of the body. And so that is going to be our next video. I hope you stay tuned. Have a good night, guys.